And we are live. All right. Hey, everyone. It's been a while. I think our last live stream was like 10 months ago, I think. So, yeah, in that last live stream, I got a bit sidetracked. I was answering so many questions from a very interested person. So, um, today I'm going to try to keep things uh, kind of set to a set schedule I've kind of written down right here. Got a bunch of topics I want to talk about. But I also, let's see if I remember the hotkey for this. Bam. Um, we're going to be trying to model in the background this. This is the Springfield Trapdoor. This is the newest iteration of it. You can see there's a couple of like old pieces from the old model, but there's a lot of new changes with this version. Fixed the iron sight. It's a little bit more accurate. Like I even got a lot of the tiny like screws and grooves, so this is a little bit more accurate to the actual iron sight that you would see, on a Springfield Trapdoor of the time. And also, this guy, it's a bayonet, a rod bayonet. So, if you don't know, back in the day, they didn't really have, well, they did, but a lot of these older firearms, they actually didn't have a proper bayonet. It was actually Teddy Roosevelt, when he was president, that actually changed it back to having more traditional style with kind of like a knife edge. But these were just kind of like simple, almost like cleaning rods that were basically converted for short combat. So, and I kind of want to, sorry, not short combat, close quarters combat, my bad. So I kind of want to try to implement something like this for the melee combat in the game, since we're going to have that as well. So, but yeah, I got a bunch of stuff to talk about, so I'm just going to kind of get right into it. By the way, give me a second. Let me grab my reference images. Okay. So I got a couple of reference images right here, kind of some actual firearms I'm going to be using. So, and then I also have this 3D model right here. Not going to be relying on this too much because there's a lot of inaccuracies with this. One, because the model's completely broken. But this one doesn't actually have the correct rod. And this is like a slightly different year, as you can see right here. So I'm not going to be relying too much on this one, but it's kind of a good general kind of idea of what the firearm is going to look like. Another thing that actually separates this model compared to mine, and why this has taken so long, a lot of these firearm models, is you can see the edges. If I get really close, hold on. Let's see if I get really close. You can see the edges they're beveled. So let me show you. Where is this? Wireframe. There we go. So it's not like a straight edge, like say on this model where that is just a sharp edge. This is actually beveled. So this is called hard surface modeling. It's a technique to kind of add a little bit more depth in the models. Just kind of add a little bit more realism. But obviously that means it's going to take a lot longer to actually make these models. So this is again, something that's going to separate this model from a lot of the other ones you would find online. It's just there's a lot more attention to detail, trying to get all the little the literal nooks and crannies, trying to trying to get everything to look just right. So, but yeah. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm also going to be kind of talking a little bit about kind of what's been going on for the last couple of months. So, long story short, I haven't been able to make the videos that I wanted to make. I was really trying to get to a point where I could make like one of these like a game dev YouTube videos like almost every month. But unfortunately, I kind of messed that up. I didn't realize how long it would take just to actually get all the footage to actually make the videos. Let me try to see. There we go. That's a good one. So it's really kind of hard to actually find the time to actually get all the footage that I needed. And the other thing is this aspect of the development for the game, actually trying to fix some of these weapon models has taken way longer than I thought it would. I originally thought I was going to be done with this around like June. Obviously, completely missed that. So that's kind of why I haven't been making as many videos. That being said, my kind of goal going forward is maybe not to focus so much on these firearm models, but to kind of more try to diversify and work on other things as well. So that might be like one of the things actually I did do was work on the artillery models for the game, because the original artillery was super hard to control. If you've ever played the demo, you'll know it was a real pain in the neck. So that's already been fixed. I already actually fixed a lot of the code for that. But I'm also going to be trying to... What the hell is it? There it is. I'm also going to be trying to kind of work on some models as well for that, and then some other things as well. So there's a lot of stuff I'm planning on working on to try to kind of, I guess, give myself some more content to show you all. But I mean, development has been like moving along. It's not like I've been kind of stuck doing nothing. I have actually been able to get some work done, just not, I haven't been able to really show much of it off. As I guess kind of the issue I'm having. So give me a second. Let me see. Can we hide this? So I had this barrel. There we go. There we go. Now we can get some rail work done. So yeah, but I got the artillery models. Again, it's not the models. I got the new artillery units like fully coded and everything, so I can show that off in a later stream. They're a lot more fun to use. You get the ability to, of course, you have a much better aiming system. You got kind of like a radial compass. If you can see my cursor, it's kind of like a radial compass, and so aiming now you can get like almost down to like the micro units. You can get very, very, very fine, precise controls. And the thing is with the actual aiming, it's not like in first person anymore like it was before, which was kind of hard to see everything. Now you get I'm just going to delete all of this. This is kind of ugly looking geometry. Whoa. There we go. So I'm gonna try. Sorry, not gonna try. The old units were really hard to use because they had that first-person perspective. The new model, the new unit, it's a little bit better because it's in third person. So you got kind of like a third-person like camera. You can kind of like spin around, kind of almost like GTA or any one of these like third-person kind of games. And there's also, give me a second. Boop. All right. I'm trying to find my train of words right here. This is the one problem of trying to do this in doing this live. So I have to think on my feet. But I am gonna get used to this. I am now dedicating myself to trying to do one live stream every week, every Thursday. I'm not sure if it's gonna be at this exact time. I kind of messed up. I wanted to do this at like 45 minutes ago, but I kind of messed that up because I had to do a lot of setup. Because the old settings I had from the last live stream were they were wrong. Is that shut it out for? I think it is you. Okay. So it might be like an hour earlier in the future live streams, but yeah, I want to try to do this every single week if I can, just so I can give you guys more content to watch. Let's see. Think like that. Yeah, that looks a little bit more straight. So, but anyway, yeah, so the new artillery models, yeah, it's a lot easier to aim. There's a lot more ease and quality of life features that have been kind of added. One of the things you can do now is you can ping a shot. So before, you kind of had to almost like experiment. Like you had to kind of like, you'd like aim, you'd fire a shot, you would then see like where the, shell lands, and then you would like adjust. And while some people might like that kind of system because it's a little bit more experimental, the problem is that the artillery is kind of overpowered because they have so many shells they can fire. So I want to kind of add a little bit more challenge to the game by basically limiting the amount of shells down to like way less, like 10 shots instead of like 50 or 100. And so to make up for that, I want to give players the ability to kind of see where their shots are going to be going before they actually fire. So this pinging system kind of allows you to actually like see like, oh, the shot's going to land there. Okay, now we can actually fire the shot. So it's a little bit better in that way. And the other really cool feature is there's the ability to enable like close quarters mode or close quarters combat. So if there's like, some enemy that comes really close to you, you can't really fight back normally. But in this version, you can. You basically kind of switch to like the first person perspective of one of the artillery personnel, and they're equipped with like a handgun, and you can actually then fire back at any nearby enemies. So it's a little bit more forgiving in that case. You got a lot more options. And in the future, I'm also going to add the ability to like disband. Actually, I think I already added that feature. Yeah. So there is a feature to basically like disband the unit. As in, you'll have 2 artillery units that get like spawned in for so like I want to abandon this artillery unit, right? And then I just want to take control of the artillery personnel to capture objectives. Something I've noticed a lot of playtests they experienced was like when they would get down to like their last few soldiers, they would die off, but they still have their artillery units, but they can't use them to actually capture the objective. Now you can actually use them to actually capture objectives. You can like abandon your post, and you can actually then try to take control of the artillery personnel and take over objectives that way. So again, there's a lot more creative control now that I'm kind of giving to players with this new unit type. So yeah, the artillery units are way more fun and interesting to use. Let's see if I... go right there. I think that's... is that smooth? Why are you not smooth? Okay, it's better. Hang on, I think I have a better idea. I'm going to redo this. I know, I haven't done much in like... how long have we been going? For like 15 minutes. It's one of those things, you got to kind of get into the groove of modeling. Let's see. So, but yeah, so there's been some other improvements as well I've made. But I think the next kind of goal I want to try to do, I have some improvements I want to make to the cavalry. For the most part, I already kind of fixed the cavalry back when the game was still on itch. It still is, but I mean, I'm kind of moving my development focus away from that. But yeah, there was a lot of fixes I already made with that there. But I want to do a little bit more. Because there's some kind of lack of polish, really, with the artillery. No, sorry, with the cavalry units. They like sound effects. They're kind of all broken. They're messed up. What else? Just kind of like the movement in general is kind of really clunky. It needs a little bit more fine tuning. And then there's, of course, there's the animations. There's only one death animation for all the units, actually. And that's going to change. I'm going to add like ragdolls and some other animations as well so that you have a little bit more to kind of... a little bit more visual... how would you call it? Well, complexity. I'll just leave it at that. By the way, let me see if my audio is good for a second. Yeah. Think we're working. Okay. Sorry, my bad. So, yeah, by the way, if there's any suggestions on the stream, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this through the VOD, the video on demand, because this is going to be still on the channel afterwards, let me know. I actually have some ideas I want to talk about for future live streams, but I'm going to get to that in a minute, not just this second. Okay, hang on a minute. Actually, I can... okay. So that was, yeah. Whoa, what the hell happened here? Okay. Okay. Yeah, there was something fishy about that. So, yeah, what else? I think some of you already have seen the new website I've made. I do want to actually have a video up on that as well, because I do think it's kind of interesting how I actually, unlike the original site, this one's actually made custom using HTML. So I kind of used a little bit of my knowledge that I got from university in making that. I think it's fascinating. I mean, web development is still definitely, even with all the AI stuff, I think web development is still kind of a interesting thing to learn and study. You know, some people might still like it. I think the site, the current site, it looks really good compared to the original. It looked terrible. And I'll be honest, I don't think that many people even saw the original site, because I went on Internet Archive. They have that like Wayback Machine where you can kind of you can see like saves of like the like previous versions of the website of any website really on the internet. And my website didn't have anything shown up. It had like the home page and that was it. Everything else was just not cached at all, which means that almost hardly anybody actually visited the website, meaning that the Wayback Machine didn't bother actually picking it up and actually trying to record it. So yeah, it was very, very clear that website, it needed to change because nobody was even using it. Um, and that's actually kind of why I kind of halfway through, I kind of almost gave up on it. I kind of abandoned it for a while, but now that I actually have something a little bit better, I'm going to be using that. Um, Another thing, so this week we got a new social media manager, and he's already doing a lot. He's a coworker and friend of mine, uh, and oh shoot, I think I messed that up. Hold on. Give me a second. Please tell me I could fix this. Yeah, I think I got. Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll come back to that side. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, he's in charge now of handling the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. Yeah, I think that's it. Those accounts. So reason being, every single time I had to use those, it just took a while to update. It was a real pain in the neck. And frankly, I just wasn't that good at it. After how many years it's been already, like 3 years, none of those platforms have really taken off. Actually, this, YouTube is probably actually the most success I've actually had in all of this. So I was kind of upset with where I was. And again, it was just taking a lot of energy, a lot of time. And I'm just not good, honestly, at a lot of social media management. But my friend, he's really good at this. He's way funnier than I am, at least like 10 times funnier than I am. And yeah, even just in like the couple of days that he's already been making a lot of moves that I couldn't even try replicating. So yeah, so if you see him, say hi. This is still very, very much a one man development project, but he's there to kind of help with managing all like the socials. So yeah, that's hopefully gonna help also kind of spread the word more about this game, and our company and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and in general, I have a lot of ideas, and so does he, on where we want to kind of how we want to be more active and kind of respond more to the community. So it's a lot of exciting stuff on that front. What else? So I guess I could talk about a little bit about the plan, kind of moving forward, like what I'm planning on doing with the game. So again, this is Alpha 2. I've already got the Steam page set up. You can check that on the website. Might even add the link in future episodes, not future episodes, future live streams. In that little like tracker you can see at the very bottom. I've actually done a lot of live stream updates. If you couldn't tell, I changed the background. I've been changing the recording software as well. I've updated a lot of my tech and everything I have. So because a lot of the programs I was using were like, I'm not even joking, from like 2018. Like I haven't updated them in ages. So yeah, that's another thing I've been kind of doing the last couple of months. It's just really kind of updating everything, kind of getting everything all to be up to date, and gonna be a little bit easier, I guess, to get things moving. That's flat. Okay. It's kind of flat. Okay. So anyway, yeah. But yeah, so the plan kind of moving forward with Alpha 2. So if you haven't actually seen the document yet, I kind of linked it, I think, on my... I think I might have put it on the YouTube, like, community posts, but I definitely put it on the Discord, which you know, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. But yeah, so the plan is to, one, of course, redo all these models. So I've already got the Krag, I've got the Colt, model 1892 double action revolver. That's already all done. So it's this, the Mauser, I think it's 1893 Spanish rifle, and then the C96 Mauser handgun. Those are the models I need to basically rework, kind of remodel. I'm not going to work so much on the last two because those aren't going to be the, in my opinion, the primary weapons that the player is going to be using much, since those are specifically for the Spanish. What the hell? Okay. But right there. Yeah. But I still want to try to fix that because, again, there were a lot of inaccuracies. Like on the Krag, for instance, like the bolt at the back of the gun. I didn't realize there was actually two moving parts. I made it as one. And I didn't even realize that until like months down the line after I had made that model. Like, oh, that's not how the gun works. Oops. Right? So for this model, yeah, I definitely want to try to, for all these models, I want to try to fix that. Add in a little more detail. Of course, there's the hard surface modeling. One of the big issues, I can even show it here, is one, of course, you have all these different objects. The new models, it's just one unified object. But the thing is, you'll notice there's a lot of materials here. Like there's 4 just for this base, right? These sights, they have 3. The hammer has 2, right? This has 2, right? And so what that means is that, like, when you actually import this into Unity, there's like 8 or 9 materials for this one gun. And that means that every time you have this gun in the scene, just one model, it'll take like 8 or 9 draw calls, which is basically kind of like your CPU, which is kind of like the brain of your computer telling the GPU what to render. Basically, nerdy stuff aside, that basically means it runs like garbage when you have a few hundred of these things in a level. So the solution I've been trying to come up with since then is, well, let's bake everything down to one single texture, one single material. And you can actually see that with the new Colt model, the new Krag rifle. Everything is baked into one single material. So the barrel, the wood kind of like grain, everything like that, it's all one material. Makes it look really, really, I mean, it looks a lot better because I also have things like normal maps, I got reflection, roughness, all that kind of stuff. But then it also is more optimized as well. And the optimization is so good in these newer models that I can safely double, triple, quadruple, increase 5 or 6 times the polygon count of these models, and I would still actually get a frame rate improvement over the old models. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this alone, it's not even done yet, already has 30,000 triangles, you can see right here, whereas in the original one only had 10,000. This is going to run a lot better in engine compared to the old model, even with that. Even with, you know, this is probably going to be just like 50,000 polygons, it's still going to run better. So, and again, that's just kind of like the power of, you know, better materials and just kind of trying to make things a little bit more, again, a little bit more unionized, and therefore, and did I mess that up? Kinda. Hold on. I think the problem is, I think that kind of is, it's a little bit wider. Yeah, okay. Okay, all right. Give me a second. Let me fix that. So, yes, yeah, most of these models are going to be a lot more performant compared to the original models. So I know it kind of seems like, man, why are you wasting your time on doing these models you've already done? But again, the problem is right now, like the performance of the game is kind of crap. I mean, it's better than it was before, but yeah, I definitely want to try to do a little bit better. You know, I think I'm gonna do this actually. Hold on. There we go. And we're just gonna move that to like, where's the edge of the barrel? There we go. Perfect. So, yeah. So, and then of course there's going to be, of course, new animations. I actually recently, this was actually this week, I did a little bit of R&D, because one thing I really would like to have is procedural animations. So for things like guns swaying, running, what else? Recoil. There we go. That was the one that, yeah. Rather than having like baked animations like what I have right now, which kind of get repetitive and get kind of stale and boring to look at after a while because they're just the same animations over and over and over again, it'd be actually kind of nice to have procedural animations, because that way it's a little bit more dynamic, there's a little bit more fluidity involved, and the few baked and, you know, still traditionally baked animations that will be there, they'll kind of blend in a little bit better with each other. So that's definitely something I would like to do. We'll see if I have the time and the expertise to make that. If not, then of course I'll just kind of stick with what I know, which is just that kind of traditional animation stuff. And I have a new shortcut in actually how to kind of speed up the animation process. There is a YouTube channel I found, and I'm not going to show it right now, but I might show it in the future, that specifically basically shows this one person grabbing all these like historical firearms, whether that's handguns or rifles, and they fire, they reload, and then they fire these rifles kind of in a very, very quiet, empty like firing range. What's nice about it is you get really clear audio, and it's a really good like frame of reference to actually see like the hand motions involved in actually like reloading and firing. And of course the best part about this is like it's in 4K 60 FPS, so I can like slow it down and like see like how the parts are actually moving. So my plan is, once I'm done with modeling these firearms, I'm gonna kind of work on using those videos as like a frame of reference and adding these animations in. And then when it comes to the third person characters, there's still some work I want to do with that modeling wise, mainly with when it comes to clothing and when it comes to skin. The program I was actually using to make all the human models. It's called Make Human. It was an open source program. It's actually been discontinued. I managed to get a version like shortly before they like basically like said like, okay, we're discontinuing this. So that's fun. So, but the I have a couple ideas of how to make better looking 3D human models, because right now they just look kind of flat. Like they're like it's funny because like when I first made like the first version of the game back when it was on itch.io, like the very first version, like alpha 1, like version 0001, like the very first version, the human models were easily like the best looking element of the game, and like the environments looked really like bland and simple. And it's funny because now it's almost the complete opposite. The the human models and the gun models actually look the worst, and it's actually the environment that looks the best right now. Just because I've now been swapping all those assets with those more high definition photogrammetry assets that just look so much better. So again, that's another reason why I want to change these gun models, but it's also another reason why I want to slightly improve the third person character models, just make them a little bit better. Of course, I haven't even implemented all the different uniforms. I've only added for the American units, the Rough Rider uniform, which works for some of the levels, but obviously it doesn't tell the full story. There was also the regular standard infantry, right, that had the more traditional kind of like blue overalls. So I need to actually model that. And I've actually found some really cool programs. I'm gonna try to experiment with this, do a little bit more R&D, but I found some cool programs that might make the process a little bit easier, faster, simpler, and maybe even better looking too, because they can simulate things like wrinkles and folds and creases and stuff like that, which is easily the thing that those models are kind of lacking right now. They just look kind of flat. I keep saying they look like they came out of Roblox, which I think is pretty accurate, honestly. They do look like they came out of Roblox. So, but then yeah, there's that. Of course, I think I mentioned already the cavalry units. That's going to be changed in a the hell. Oh, I was grabbing the wrong thing. So yeah, the cavalry is going to be changed a little bit. What else? Of course, there's some things with the actual like gameplay side of things. Of course, we're going to have the melee combat. That's going to be part of actually these gun animations. So that's not really too much of a separate thing. That's kind of, I'm doing this already. But there's going to be new game modes. So right now there's really only one game mode, which is just kind of like the standard battle kind of game mode, which is fine. But I know there's people that want something kind of like more like what you actually see in like games like Battlefield, where you have like Conquest and things like that, where the game modes are a little bit longer because of that, because you can respawn and there's just a lot more going on. And so it's definitely something I would like to work on. Let's see, let's get that down right there. So yeah, it's definitely something I would like to work on if I can. Is having more game modes, having the ability to kind of like respawn and have more kind of like game mode settings. So that's another plan I kind of have as well. And then of course there's kind of the big elephant in the room, which is the real reason why Alpha 2 is going to be on Steam and not on itch, which is there is going to be modding support. I was originally only just going to have... Oh, damn. Hold on. I just realized, did I move both of them? No, okay. I missed it. Good. But yeah, I was originally gonna only just do mods for localization and what I'm calling the battle strategies, which is kind of like these like the strategies you kind of pick at the very beginning of each like game match. But I realize now, especially with games like Battlefield 6 coming out, which I'll get into in just a moment, that more than ever, we really need to have a map editor pretty much at launch. I think the map editor is going to be kind of a necessity to have at this point. Give me just a quick second. I'm gonna change my audio for a second. I've been messing around with the settings, but I obviously still need to kind of experiment with things. Let's see if I set that to 0. That might be a little bit better. Okay. Let's go back. Let's see, what's the hotkey for that? Damn. Yeah, so, where was I? So yeah, definitely I want to have a map maker. And I have most of the, not the code, unfortunately, but I have most of like the understanding of what I need to implement. Like kind of like the pseudocode, you can say, already down. There's only really one aspect I'm kind of still stuck on. And that is the like saving and loading of not really the maps themselves, but of the terrain, Unity's terrain system. There we go. It's a little bit difficult. There's not really much documentation on that, but I know it's possible. Again, one of the games I'm using as inspiration for this game is Ravenfield, and you know, Ravenfield is doing kind of the same thing with using Unity's terrain to kind of do terrain manipulation. So it's definitely doable, but it's just something I kind of have to do a little bit more research into. But yeah, I definitely think I could add a map maker into the game, and it wouldn't take terribly long to implement. So yeah, that's something you know, I want to try to get into before launch. And other than that, that's about it. There is some like AI improvements I would like to be doing as well. That can happen before if I have time, or that might happen after, like in like a post-launch. Because there's also things part of Alpha 2, you can say, that I'm going to be adding after the game launches on Steam, but they'll still be part of Alpha 2. A lot of bug fixing, pretty much. So the AI is kind of one of those things where like there's not going to be one single update to fix everything. It's just kind of that thing I just have to kind of work on continuously, you know, time and time, over and over and over again, until eventually I kind of get it down, get it good. So we'll see. But yeah, and then of course Alpha 3 and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you've ever seen the roadmap before, more maps, more weapons. You know, eventually there's going to be an Alpha 4, the first implementation of kind of like the story mode in the game. So definitely that kind of excites me, because if you really think about it, this game, I kind of jokingly said it, that it's kind of like the ship of Theseus, in that I have built a version of it, you know, that original version, back from like 2023, and pretty much everything in the game since then I've been redoing. Uh, so really, if you think about it, it's been kind of like, yeah, there's been improvements, but it's largely kind of the same content since then. So it would be definitely nice to actually like finally get some new content to kind of be working on and making. And that's going to come with Alpha 3. That's going to be all this kind of, I mean, Alpha 2 again with like the map maker, definitely, but these are kind of like fundamental things I kind of felt like should have been in the game already. But with Alpha 3, like I'm actually going to be able to add like new maps and, new weapons and stuff like that. And that I think is going to be really exciting because there's some really cool things I want to work on, like, cool maps I really want to work on. The San Juan map in particular being this kind of more like urban, not like, crazy urban. Not it is in Battlefield 6 New York, right? But it's it's going to be urban enough. There's going to be a lot of buildings and some that you'll be able to kind of like enter into and out of. So that kind of map is going to be really fun, I think, to play around in. It's going to be very, very different compared to the maps that are currently in the game. I wonder why this looks weird. This is just, this looks really, really strange. I think, whoa. I'm just clicking on links right now. Okay, I think, all right, I know I was again, you're watching my live struggle with 3D modeling. But I think we're just going to do this. That problem is that this is not curved nearly as much as I need it to be. All right. Hold on. We're going to go back to the drawing board for a second. How about this? I'm going to save. So I have something to fall back on. Save. And just for good luck. All right. And then I'm going to try to implement this other idea. So, but anyway, so that's kind of like the general idea of where I want the development to go moving forward. So in the short term, yeah, it's, new, these new firearm models, these new cavalry kind of improvements, as well as, of course, the new artillery units, and then just a lot of modding support. So again, I've had people ask me like, when is the game going to be done? When are we going to actually, see this thing out? Even my social media manager was like, hey, when are we going to actually see this? It's like, you're gonna have to wait. I'm going to try to kind of push myself to get this done. Well, again, I always say I'm trying to get this done as fast as I can. But again, without like, over promising, I want to get this done in the next couple of months. I don't want to try to spend half a year or longer, trying just to get Alpha 2 out. And if I have to kind of like skip out on things and kind of rush a little bit, that's, I know that people don't like it when I say that, but yeah, I might have to kind of take that loss a little bit, that there's going to be some things that are going to be a little bit buggy. Again, it's early access, so I'm kind of, I don't want people to buy a game that's completely broken, but at the same time, I also don't want to waste people's time. And I know some people, like, they've been waiting literally years for this game to come out. And I think it would be kind of a disservice if I just, kept taking even longer and longer and longer. make this game. So definitely, I'm going to try to kind of speed things up. And again, with like the things like my, you know, my new social media manager and all that kind of stuff, I think it's going to be, whoa, what the hell did I just do there? I think it's going to kind of help push and motivate me to actually get things done on a reasonable time frame. Another thing, and I actually didn't even mention this, but you know, I'm still very, very much looking for a job, looking for work. Kind of the struggle I've mentioned already in my last YouTube video, where I was saying like all of last year I was basically trying to get a job once I kind of finished college. I'm still very, very much in that. It's pretty hard to find work right now. It's getting a little bit better. Some of my colleagues from college have already gotten a job, but not everybody. Some of us are still far, far, far behind. So, okay, hang on a second. Oh, yeah, that is weird looking. Yeah. But, yeah, so some of us are still kind of far behind. But something that's, I think, going to help kind of motivate me as well is a lot of this work I'm actually doing, I'm kind of now using it as kind of like a way to kind of network on places like LinkedIn and stuff like that, like kind of like showing off like, hey, here's my, you know, my work on like doing this or that, right? Like I'm, you know, hey, I'm doing modeling, or hey, I'm doing some coding or whatever, right? What the hell? So I think that this is kind of going to be kind of a great way for me to maybe, again, kind of put more pressure on myself to actually get things done. So again, having that, you know, once a week, I'm going to, you know, we're going to have a post on our social media, I think is going to be really helpful. But then also, yeah, like me actually having to do, not only do work on the game every single week, but actually then post work on the game every single week, I think is another thing that's just going to help really, really get a lot of work done. So, you know, this is definitely a time to kind of, as the saying goes, lock in. So, but yeah. So that's kind of the plan with that stuff. I wrote down here to talk about Battlefield 6 because in the time since my last just post online, Battlefield 6 not only got revealed, but now it's like a week or two away from actually being launched. And I guess I might as well give my opinions on it. I mean, it looks great. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. I bring it up because, of course, this game is very, very much inspired by Battlefield, specifically like the older titles, not really the newer stuff. But it's kind of funny too because when I started making Unsung Heroes, that was shortly after the Battlefield 2042 got announced. And it's kind of funny because, of course, we got to all watch that horrific train wreck, you know, crash and burn in front of our eyes. I thought it was kind of funny. But now, I mean, Battlefield looks like it's in a pretty good shape. And again, as I mentioned, like seeing like how there's a lot more like community features, like there actually is now a map editor in that game. Is kind of the thing that's been kind of encouraging me, like, okay, maybe, you know, I need a map editor on launch. I can't like delay that as well. So yeah, hang on a second. So I think we want this to go like that. like that. Okay. Yeah, okay. And then, you ready for this? Watch this. Watch this crap. Hold on. We're going to grab that, and then, ta-da! Actually, hold on. Save a few polygons by doing that. Okay. So, but yeah, one thing I will say though, and this can actually goes on to the next thing, is the system requirements. So Battlefield 6 is actually a pretty well optimized game from what I've heard. I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of gameplay from it. But even still, I actually cannot play Battlefield 6. And that's because the system requirements are just above my specs, the minimum. Right, I have a GTX 1060. It's a 3 gigabyte VRAM version. I have a 7th gen Intel i5 processor, and I got 16 gigabytes of RAM, CPU RAM. So, and I'm on a hard disk drive. So all of that kind of stuff basically means it's maybe playable, maybe. If it weren't for the fact that, again, I'm on a 7th gen Intel processor, which means the one feature that is absolutely essential, which is, I think it's called Secure Boot. I don't have access to that because that was introduced with the 8th gen processors and onward. So, so I literally cannot play Battlefield 6. In fact, I can't play a lot of newer games. It's kind of funny because like a couple of years ago, like it was like no issue. I could play almost anything that came out. But now, yeah, I actually am pretty much in the same boat I was back in 2015 when I was still making really like crappy Let's Play videos on this channel. This was like like super young, you know, me just goofing off on the internet. I remember I used to I made a video about City Skylines, the first one. I actually bought it on day one and I made a video on it. And my computer at the time was like a really crappy, like touchscreen Dell all-in-one Windows 8 desktop, and it couldn't actually run City Skylines. It ran at like 10 FPS without even building anything. It just ran terribly. And I made a video on it at the time because I was so excited. And I always got the comment like, "Oh, you got to upgrade your PC. You got to upgrade your PC." And of course, this was when I was, you know, I didn't have an allowance or anything like that. So, I was kind of like, "Well, I can't upgrade my PC. This is just it, you know." And I feel like I'm kind of almost in the same boat, but for like a different reason. Like I'm now kind of at that point where like there are games I can't play because my PC is just not powerful enough. And it's not that I don't. That I can't play them because I don't make money. I do. It's just that I don't have I don't make enough money from my job right now. So that's kind of why like it's funny because I can't play games like Battlefield 6 or anything like that. But I will say the one kind of silver lining is that it's kind of made me take, again, optimization a lot more seriously, like with this game. Because if it can run on my computer, it can probably run on most computers out there. So that's kind of like my metric for that. But yeah, like I can't even download Windows 11, which is funny because that's Windows 10 is getting discontinued in like a couple of weeks. So that's fun. But give me a second. There we go. But yeah, so that's definitely something I'm thinking about trying to improve maybe in the coming months. Maybe try to save up for a new computer. We'll see how that goes. Because it would definitely be cool to actually like, you know, record at like, you know, these videos or live streams at like 4K instead of at 1080p. You know, have, you know, 60 FPS recordings. It'd be cool also to have things like DLSS introduced in the game. I know people now kind of are turned off by that because it's kind of now been used as an excuse for really poorly optimized games. There's that new Borderlands game, and everybody's complaining how you can't run that game without using DLSS, and that just makes the game just look significantly worse. And I definitely get it, but I also still want to kind of implement that kind of tech as well, just for the people that are on lower end hardware and maybe want to get, you know, some really crazy, you know, high frame rates, like, you know, 200 FPS, right? Right now, as it is, like this game could probably hit, even on my computer, like 40, 50 FPS. But it would be kind of nice to try to, again, implement some more modern graphic options. I'm not sure if I want to have ray tracing. I don't think it's going to make the game look that much better, but we'll see. But again, I can't do any of that without getting a new computer, so that's kind of why it's a work in progress type of situation right now. All right, let's get rid of this. This is garbage. Jeez. I'll definitely say my modeling skills have improved somewhat in the few years since I've made these models. Okay. For the most part, I think that's flat. Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, so definitely getting a new computer. That's in the pipeline. And another thing, there's definitely also some other things like equipment wise I want to try to get my hands on. I was actually thinking about it for the live stream, because now I have that avatar, that like duck avatar, which is I guess like my new channel mascot. I made it for that previous video, and of course that video blew up. It got super popular, and so I've been using that mascot since. And I was trying to think like, oh, maybe I should have like a really stupidly like a VTuber, not like an anime thing, but just kind of like a model for my avatar, that I could then link like a webcam with, and then I could kind of have that on the live streams. But funnily enough, I could not find really any software online that actually, like, most of the VTuber stuff, it's specifically made for, you know, using like Vroid Studio, all that kind of like anime stuff. And me, to be perfectly honest, I just think that stuff is just weird. I could never be, you know, I don't even like VTubers, let alone would I want to try to replicate that. But I do like the idea of like having like a, you know, YouTube channel mascot. So, again, a lot of R&D kind of stuff, I guess, to work on. But Did I do? Yeah, I did 4 bevels. Jeez, okay. That's gonna be a little spicy on the performance. Not really, as I already explained, it isn't. But as long as I don't make something over, I think my the Colt was at 60,000, and that's the highest poly I've made. As long as I don't go over like 80, I think it'll be fine. You know, I won't be too worried about it. Whoopsie, there we go. How does that look? Yeah, okay. And it kind of goes real thin towards the top, so like that. Yeah, okay, that looks perfect. So other than that, though, I think that's pretty much everything I've wrote down here on this little note sheet I've made for myself. So that's pretty much everything I think that I kind of wanted to talk about. Obviously, we don't have that many viewers right now, but yeah, definitely. If anybody has any like questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Again, I know I haven't been as active, you know, community, you know, and engaging with the community as I would have liked to. But again, that's something I want to change moving forward. I want to try to do these live streams every single week if I can. I also have been thinking about maybe also having some more kind of relaxed streams where I just kind of play games as well. I don't want to do too much of that though, because again, I want to focus on development as much as I can. But every once in a while, you know, gotta give myself a little bit of a breather and you know, just kind of just talk with the community. And I've actually seen a lot of game developers, they will do that too. They'll play some other game. I'm pretty sure the people behind the game Satisfactory, they would play like other indie games as well. So I see it quite a lot. So it's an idea, I guess, but again, we'll see. I'm here to really engage with whatever the community wants. So yeah. I think we're getting there. Yeah. You can kind of see where this is going, and we got that kind of nice smooth shape right there. In all honesty, like, this is not going to be a terribly long live stream. Again, with this computer, I remember the last time I did a live stream, after about like an hour and a half, the stream kind of started like jittering and kind of getting all weird. So, you know, definitely I'm going to try to keep these streams kind of short and simple. But again, I think it's a great way to engage with the community. So, what in the hell happened here? I guess I didn't connect that. Wow, okay. That's weird. So, yeah. But yeah, any, like, to the people that are watching this, any like suggestions on what you'd like to see in these like live streams, any kind of like interactive elements, all that kind of stuff, like I'm all ears. So but yeah, I want to say, like, I think that's really everything I wanted to talk about for today. All the dev stuff for the future pipeline, all the kind of news regarding what I've done in the last couple of months, all the kind of games I'm kind of been interested in. There's some, I mean, it's not really related to Unsung Heroes or anything like kind of like Battlefield related, but there are some really interesting games that got announced in like the last couple of days that I have been keeping my eye on. I'm into a lot of racing games as well, and I just saw today that the next Forza Horizon game is taking place in Japan. That's interesting. I actually have the very, very first game on 360, and I used to play that all the time. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how that series has kind of evolved. I do kind of find the newer games kind of lackluster, as I think a lot of people have. Just they're kind of a little bit boring. There's not really any, you buy cars. There's like 300 of them, and they all basically feel, drive, and sound the exact same. It's just kind of, it gets kind of stale and boring. But they've been working on this newer title for like 5 years now, so there's a good chance they may have kind of fixed some of the issues. Oh shit! I think I excuse my language. I think I messed that up. Hold on. There we go. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool games coming out pretty soon. So I've been kind of keeping my eye on it. Again, obviously focused on development, focused on the stuff that will even run on my computer. But yeah, I kind of feel like the last couple of years we've kind of had a little bit of a drought for like good games to play. So it's interesting finally kind of seeing now we're going to have a year where there's going to be, I mean, next year is packed. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out next year. It's kind of why I'm trying to get this game out if I can. I don't, again, going back, I'm not going to make any predictions on like when this is going to be done. Alpha 2, I mean, but I have my doubts about this year being the year when it's going to come out. I would love it if it came out this year. If it came out in the holiday season, like, geez, that'd be great. But I just kind of, I'm doubtful about that. But I'm not so doubtful about like next year, like start of the year, like January or February kind of timeline. Again, no promises. I can totally miss that. But it would definitely be cool to see. Give me a second. I want to see if I've gotten any like messages so far. I haven't actually checked. Hold on. Live stream background. Have I actually got any messages? No. Okay. Good. Well, at least making sure that I'm not accidentally ignoring somebody. That'd be the worst thing in my opinion. If I was ignoring somebody. Doesn't sound like I am though. So yeah. Yeah, but there's definitely some things I would, again, with the live stream stuff, I would love to do, like kind of to add a little bit more interactivity. I know you can do like music suggestions and things like that. So that's something I would like to do. But it's all a work in progress. And we'll see where things go. I'm going to be honest, this looks kind of weird. Let's see. If we just move that up a little bit, that's going to look a little bit smoother, I think. Yeah. Beautiful. We'll do the same here as well. Not sure if I should bevel this, just make it a little bit smoother. Let's see. Whoa. Sorry. I'm all over the shop today. So, yeah, it's kind of beveled a little bit. It's like that. Just a little bit down. And a little bit more. Yeah. And I think I kind of messed up a little bit with this because I don't think this is actually depressed. I thought it was from this angle, but I think it's actually flat. I mean, if we can even, well, this is pretty low poly, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I think we can actually raise this up a little bit. And then just jut it out a little bit. Whoa. Again, I'm getting used to... Holy crap, we got 5 people right now watching. Wow. Welcome. Welcome to the quiet chill live stream. Of course, I have to mess up right as soon as I as soon as I get a bunch of viewers. Nice. But yeah. If you're new here, welcome. We're just doing a little bit of 3D modeling on this Trapdoor Rifle. So this is the new and improved version. I'm trying to get this. It's not even the actual mechanism. I guess it's just kind of like the part of like the front of like I guess like the loading gate for the trapdoor kind of implemented. So but yeah, something I also think I probably am going to be doing in future live streams is, again, focusing on a better time, but also giving a warning like beforehand. I think a lot of people, because this is also kind of the issue I had with the last live stream I had as well. I think a lot of people they would get in, and it would be like almost at the end of the live stream because they wouldn't see the notification like, hey, we're going live up until like way past like when the live stream would already start. So that's definitely something I think I might focus on in the future, is like, again, communicating like an actual time that's like set for like almost every single day, like, hey, this is when we're going to be starting. But then just also just communicating that a little bit better. So let's see, has anybody, I have my, here's the thing, I only have one monitor, so I don't have a multi-monitor set up. So what I have is I have my phone right here with the live chat, but the problem is it says top messages, and the thing with YouTube is top messages and live chat are two different separate things. Why exactly? I got no idea, but they treat it like two separate things. So I'm not entirely sure if anybody's actually commented. I don't think anybody has though. But yeah, again, if you're new here, welcome. Let's see. Better from this view, and I think I'm going to use, say, that as my reference. And are these not parallel? I don't think these are. I was using, okay. If you're wondering what the hell was what the hell is Ducky doing? I was trying to align it with like some of these like lines right here as like a background reference, but I just realized I don't think these are symmetrical. I mean, they kind of look like they are, but that one's definitely wider than that. Yeah. Okay. How am I gonna do this then? I got an idea. When in doubt, here's a little modeling trick. Grab a cube. Just align that so that it's nice and even. Oh, that actually is not even at all. Okay, that is awesome. That is awesome. Great. Okay. There we go. Doesn't have to be exact, but yeah, definitely want to make it a little bit better than what it was before. Okay. And we're just going to scale this up about right there. About right there. Sweet. And now we have a frame of reference. It's kind of funny. So I had to set up a LinkedIn profile. I already had one, but I set one up so I could do some like networking for my, job hunting, because pretty much everybody's been telling me, like, I went to like the Department of Labor. They're like, yeah, you got to do networking, you got to do more networking. So I was like, okay, I'll do more networking. And um I didn't really know what to actually put, so I've actually been putting a lot of my like art assets in there as well. It's funny because like I've gotten like people like telling me like, oh, this is really really interesting, I want to see your artwork. And it's like I have to tell people like, yeah, I know how to 3D model, but that isn't like what I'm good at. I'm a programmer at heart first. So like everything, all my models, I would like to say, are kind of like more more function than they are form. It's kind of why I'm good at like modeling like firearms or cars or things like that. But I'm terrible at like modeling like nature. I'm terrible at that. Forget about like cartoons and stuff. Um, I'm just not great at it. And even when it comes to like say like firearms, like hard surface modeling is a pain in the neck. That's again doing all these like bevels and stuff like that, really trying to add a lot more depth. It's just a pain in the neck. But it's kind of funny because I get people that are say like, oh, I'm super interested in your modeling workflow. And it's hard for me to not tell them like, yeah, it's not the best. I know how to model. It's decent modeling, but it's not something I would boast myself over too much. Really the best thing I'm good at when it comes to like game development is actually the coding stuff. Um, it's why my game right now doesn't have any code assets. So I'm staying away from assets. I'm also staying away from AI. I know a lot of coders now use like vibe, what they call vibe coding, which is like you tell like ChatGPT like make me this program or this algorithm or whatever, and it'll just make you an entire program from scratch. Um, I think that that's stupid. I think a lot of people think that that's stupid. um, it just takes away any of the skill involved, and just ends up with really garbage programs that just run terribly and super buggy and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so for me, I haven't been using AI. I haven't been using uh, any code assets. The only assets I've been using really are just those like art assets, like for like the environments. I've been using like the trees and the bushes and stuff like that. Um, why does that look weird? Something about that just looks off. Hold on a second. I think it'll look fine if I around that. Yeah, okay. But yeah, so that again, I'm not using any code assets, but when it comes to art, yeah, there's definitely some assets I use every once in a while. Um, but the funny thing is that there just isn't that many like high quality assets that I can actually use. Like again, like yes, there is this like 3D model of a Springfield trapdoor, but it's super low poly. It isn't rigged. It's the wrong year model. This one doesn't have the bayonet. Um, it's got a lot of fictitious markings on it that aren't actually accurate. Um, it's so it's kind of like I'm pretty much forced to have to make a lot of these assets myself. Um, so, but I mean, I guess you could say there's kind of a little bit of a charm in having all this kind of stuff be handmade rather than sorry, I'm a little distracted, having it be just a bunch of assets. I think I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna say this really quickly, and I'm gonna. I know I have been working on this front for like an hour and a half now. I do apologize, but I want to really get this looking right. So hang on a second. So if we do that, extend that forward. Yeah. If you've never actually seen my modeling workflow, you might be wondering what all these like weird blue lines are. This is what's called normals. So when you actually render something in an engine, you'll actually have two different sides of a polygon, right? Here you can actually see both sides, but in engine you'll only get to see one side. And that's just for performance saving issues. They only render one side. And in this case, the blue like lines are pretty much the side that's actually being rendered. So this is being rendered, this isn't. A lot of 3D modelers turn that off when they're modeling because they think it's distracting, and I can see why they think it is. I've actually had a few artists tell me that like, hey, you should turn that off when I'm modeling. But the reason why I don't is honestly just because I've had so many times when these like faces are facing the wrong way, and if I do not with the like the size of the models, like the complexity of them, if I don't catch it while I'm actually working on that part of the model, I will like completely miss it. it's like almost a pain to actually try to fix that. So for me, it's I just keep it on, and you know, it's out of sight, out of mind. Not out of sight, but you know, I kind of almost have gotten kind of used to just not even really paying too much attention to it. So, but definitely, I like if you look at my modeling process, which is kind of more unconventional, and you look at other people's, you'll see that, yeah, that's probably one of the big stark differences. The other thing is that my modeling workflow, a lot of people, they kind of go with like a sculpting process where they actually like, it's kind of almost like playing with like Play-Doh. They kind of make like a primitive object and they kind of like mush and mold it into the shape that they're looking for. I'm not doing that, mainly because again, for me, it just seems kind of inaccurate. There's a lot of fiddling around, and I'm not the kind of, when it comes to 3D modeling, I don't really like to fiddle. So I have a very, very kind of direct approach of, hey, there's a giant hole, you know, fill it up, right? Like, oh, this is wrong. Instead of like trying to mush and mold it, I'll just like delete parts of it and then just like, you know, manually place the different polygons. So again, I'm not a professional 3D modeler. I did take a lot of 3D modeling classes in college. But again, my degree was always in computer science, so that's more the coding side of things. And really my modeling experience is kind of like, it's enough that I can do what I need to, like the bare minimum that I need to do, but it's not maybe like, you know, the best in the field. But I mean, like I've made some interesting artwork. We had I can maybe show this, maybe not right now, but maybe in a future stream. We had this one game that I worked on in college. We actually published it on Steam. It's called Psych. It's this first-person like puzzle game, inspired by MC Escher. So that's kind of like all these like stairs that are kind of like inverted, and you're kind of like walking on walls and stuff like that. It's really cool. Of course, I did a lot of like coding for like gravity inversion and stuff like that. And that was an Unreal Engine 5 game as well, which, you know, a lot of people, they like Unreal Engine 5. I don't. I think it's a pain in the neck to use. It runs like garbage. Even the engine runs like garbage, let alone the games, which I think everybody now kind of has seen with like games like Borderlands. Unreal Engine 5 it has some issues. It's not a bad game engine by any means. I'm not here to blame it, but it's it's not for me, I guess. But anyway, that game's Psych. So yeah, I've actually made I don't think they actually went into the final build of the game, but there were actually some models I made for it. Like one of them was this like Mobius strip, so that's kind of like this like infinite repeating like platform that would actually like twist and turn, and the player could like walk on top of it. Super super trippy looking. So like I do have some, again, modeling experience, but it's just not, there are better 3D modelers out there. Let's just say that. But I like to think of myself as kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I can do a lot of things, maybe not the best, but good enough that you'll say, oh, yeah, we'll take him. So, and in the case of Unsung Heroes, I mean, it's actually kind of a blessing, because it means that for the most part, I can kind of make almost everything. Really, the only thing that I probably will need to like outsource, in terms of the game's development, is the sound, like the music and sound production. Most of the sound is going to be, again, just kind of using, public sound libraries. But like music composing, I found some music to replace the current music in the game as is right now, but it'd be nice to have like composed music for the game, and that I just don't have the knowledge of. I've tried doing music production. I'm not good at it. But anyway, so I think we're gonna wrap this up here pretty soon. Just want to kind of fix this front, kind of get it nice and smooth. But for whatever reason, why does it look like that? Yeah. Okay. It's like that. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. All right. Now I gotta do that like 7 times. um, hmm. So, yeah. Kind of surprised that I was able to, again, I had like a huge list of things I wanted to talk about today. I was kind of surprised at how quick I was able to actually get through all of it. Because again, last time I did one of these live streams, it was back in, I think it was last November. I had like a live stream and I legit couldn't even get like 2 sentences before I just started like answering questions. It was funny though. Like, I mean, like again, I'd be more than happy to answer people's questions and stuff, than just to rant and monologue all the time. Yeah, today was, I guess, a kind of a more chill, quiet stream, so that's fine. I'm thinking maybe the thing is that, like, I've seen some YouTubers, they'll have like music donations, so like not donations, but like music suggestions. It's like the community can like say like, oh, I want you to play like this song instead. Or I keep saying community. The watchers, right? The viewers, they can actually like, it's like, yeah, you should play this song or that song. That's definitely something I would like to set up in the future. The other thing is just also just we're still a very, very small community still, so I'm not sure how much that would even get used at this point. And let's see. Does that look a lit? Oh, that looks kind of weird. The shade, you can see maybe, I'm not sure if the YouTube's showing this, but there's a little bit of kind of like a weird like gradient kind of thing going on right here. Yeah, that looks really kind of awful. Not gonna lie, that looks kind of awful. Okay, hold on. I know. Ducky, you've been doing this for like like 2 hours. Can you work on something else? No. you got on this stream. You're now going to have to watch me suffer through this as well. Oi. Like that. And this one, I think we don't have to like round the edges off too much. As in, we can kind of make this a little bit more flat. Like that, yes. Yes. And if I try rendering that, looks a little bit better. Yeah. A little bit, a smidge better. Okay. So, yeah, I think we're going to probably wrap this stream up here pretty soon. But again, I wanna try to get this portion done. If I can get that done, I think we'll be good. Yeah, as for like this gun, again, I have no idea how long this is going to take to actually finish the whole model. I have figured out some ways of maybe kind of speeding up like the texturing process, because that was actually the worst part. These textures, since I'm now baking all the materials into one single material, the textures are like huge. The crag one is, I think, an 8K texture, so it's massive. Not in the like the file size, but just in terms of like editing, it's massive. But funnily enough, like it doesn't take up much storage space. It's runs fine in Engine, but just when I'm actually playing it with it in the editor, like like in GIMP or any of these like photo editors, or in Blender, it's just it's slow as hell. So I was kind of wondering, like, man, is there like a way to kind of like do this a little bit, faster? And I think I found a way. As well as I found some kind of shortcuts that are in the newer versions of Blender. Hang on, is that even straight? Yeah. The hell? Okay. Okay, yeah. That's kind of weird. So, but yeah, I think yeah. I found some ways of making the texturing process just a little bit more speedy. So really, the only thing I should be kind of having to spend a lot of time on is just the modeling process. So we'll see. A lot of the tech I already have, like for like the rifle slings, because of course, just like the Krag, we're gonna have a rifle sling. It's gonna have physics as well. If you've seen the YouTube short I made a few months back, you'll have seen how I actually made that. So it's going to be basically the same thing. But I think, does that look a little bit better? Kinda looks a little bit better. Let's see if I can do. Hang on. I have a solution. Make it kind of big like that, and then can I actually like rotate it? Oh, no way. Hold on. I think I got it. I think I got it. Yeah? 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 I think I got it. Yes. Yes, that's smooth. That's what we're looking for. That is what we're looking for, like that. Nice and smooth. Yeah, okay. That's I think we're gonna call it. It's perfect. Okay. Right. So yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end it for today. Yeah, so thanks everybody for joining on this kind of laid back, kind of simple, quiet stream. Let me see if anybody, yeah, nobody really added any comments. But again, I'm always here. I'm going to try to be a little bit more active on our Discord, on our all of our different platforms. Of course, we got our new social media manager. He's going to be reading comments as well, trying to respond as much as he can. So, we're going to try to be more active moving forward. And yeah, hopefully we'll be doing these live streams every week, and we'll be having a lot more posts and stuff like that every week as well. So yeah, thank you all guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week. All right. Bye.